And greetings. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Steve Deace Show here live and on demand on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast alongside Todd Erzin and Aaron McIntyre. You may or may not see much of today. It's like there's a back virus going around this building. I'm getting out of here just in time. All right. First it was Todd. Now it is Aaron.
Do you think we should start doing like 5 minutes, top of the show, mandatory calisthenics right now? Because right now you would crush us in the presidential fitness test. Crush us.
Yeah, I mean, I might literally be the only guy who can get up and down on a push-up right now looking at the two of you. But you at least seem to be on the mend, at least a little bit.
I'm on the, I mean, I'd be scrappy. I'd take a shot at the title, but I still think at the end of the day, you would be boot to throat.
I mean, Aaron has an excuse. I mean, he has literally been working his backside, literally off, here, getting this thing put together for us. All right. So we have a long weekend coming up, and Aaron really needs it. So I'll give you a little housekeeping announcement here after I tell you about our friends over at Select Quote, because it's time for some life talk. Life insurance talk, that is. You probably have it, but do you know how much that you are paying for it, and for how much are you being covered? Odds are you might be paying too much for too little. And did you know that if you receive life insurance through your job and you're unexpectedly laid off, you could suddenly be covered for nothing? Scary to think about, but simple to get right thanks to Select Quote, where you should be headed out to sort your own life insurance policy today, right? Like right after you get done hearing me, in fact. Because for over 40 years, Select Quote has been one of the most trusted brokers in insurance, helping more than 2 million Americans secure over $700 billion in coverage. And their mission is simple: to find you the right insurance policy for your unique needs. They shop, you save. Unlike other one-size-fits-all life insurance companies, Select Quote's licensed agents, they work for you. And in as little as 15 minutes, they'll compare policies from top-rated carriers to find you the best fit for your health and your budget. And they work for you for free. So get the right life insurance for you for less and save more than 50% at selectquote.com/Steve. Again, that's selectquote.com/Steve. And just a reminder, actually, it's not a reminder because I haven't told you yet. So heads up. Tomorrow we have an evergreen, a special edition of the Steve Deace Show, an outstanding think piece that we discussed at length earlier this year about where we are going with our young men and the timing of it, considering how much we've discussed it just in the last few weeks. I did a radio show, a local show in a big market that saw my piece at the Blaze about it just yesterday, talking about it as well. I'm not concerned about losing the young men we went over in this last election to the Democrats. I'm way more concerned about losing them to despair if we don't deliver. So we're going to get into that. What does it mean to be, if we're going to be based, what are we based in? What are we based on? Right? If we're red pill, that's great if we've been red pilled, but I mean, what are our roots planted in? We're going to get into that with a special edition tomorrow, and then Friday is a day off. Because right after the show today, I'm heading out to West Southern California for the Pastor Summit from TPUSA Faith. So I'm giving these guys a long weekend. I kind of intended to do it originally just because of how much it took to move in here, and Aaron needed it. But now, I think Aaron, looking at Aaron, he really needs a couple of days of rest. All right. Here's what you need. A discounted subscription to Blaze TV. You can get it right now using my last name, Deace, as your promo code so that you don't miss the cover-up. FauciCoverup.com/Deace is where you want to go. That's FauciCoverup.com/Deace to get $20 off your annual subscription to Blaze TV. It is the 5th episode. It just dropped, called Muckraker, of this awesome series that gets into, well, the Fauci cover-up. All right, you can binge all these episodes right now, as well as all the other exclusive content that maybe you've been missing by not yet being a Blaze TV subscriber. And this takes it down to just $8 a month, 26 cents a day. You can't beat it. I have to believe we're worth at least that. FauciCoverup.com/Deace. That's FauciCoverup.com/Deace. All right, coming up on today's show, next hour, we'll get started with Buy, Sell, or Hold. We'll get through as many of those as we can, and then Daniel Horowitz will join us at the bottom of hour 2 to take us inside politics. I have a little note. We don't have a Feedback Friday this week because we're going to be gone. I have a note here for maybe a little mini Feedback Wednesday that I want to share with the audience from one of you, because I think it speaks to much of what we're trying to speak to as a show right now, and much of what the culture is requiring and needing right now. So we're going to get to that at the bottom of the hour. Right after, though, we get to Aaron's rundown of what happened while we were away.
What happened while we were away, brought to you by, is the Obama-era deep state starting to get nervous? Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who of course made that referral a couple of weeks ago to the Department of Justice regarding Obama-era figures and the Russia collusion hoax, and has subsequently seen that referral turned into a grand jury investigation. Well, she says the Department of Justice is actually serious about this one.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, through the Department of Justice, is taking this necessary first step toward accountability, which is essential for the American people to begin to have any kind of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. I met with the Department of Justice prosecutors today, and yes, they are committed to leaving no stone unturned as they conduct this grand jury investigation and find the truth. Obviously, we've already handed over the documents that we've declassified and released publicly over the last few weeks. They have more questions, and they're going to be really taking a deep dive into this again, looking everywhere to find the truth and conduct this very serious investigation.
Well, we will see. In Washington, D.C. this week, a DOGE staffer, you may have heard of him, he goes by the screen name Big Balls, spotted a woman being assaulted by a gang of youths and stepped in to shield her. Big Balls was beaten and bloodied and left concussed. This prompted President Trump last night to threaten to federalize the District of Columbia if crime like this isn't brought under control. President Trump also took executive action yesterday, putting together a committee for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. At the presser for that event, he was asked again whom he believes is his heir apparent.
I think most likely, in all fairness, he's the vice president. I think Marco is also somebody that maybe would get together with JD in some form. I also think we have incredible people, some of the people on the stage right here. So it's too early, obviously, to talk about it, but certainly he's doing a great job, and he would be probably favored at this point.
In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott continues to talk tough against the Democrat state lawmakers absconding from the special session. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett took the opportunity to mock him.
But right now, the governor has decided that he wants to waste more of Texans' resources by deciding that he's going to send out the troopers. And listen, I don't even think that he's going to do that. I think he's just talking. Earlier today, I posted a copy of the warrant that was signed by the speaker, because it's the Speaker of the House that can put the call on the House, not the governor. And no one came to get me last time. In fact, it is a cute little warrant that has a cute little frame on it. And so they like to talk a big game.
Learning Chinese today. Today's phrase is, she's right until she's not anymore.
她是对的，直到她不再是对的。
HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is halting $500 million in mRNA jab research for respiratory viruses. He lays out the reasoning why.
Over the past few weeks, BARDA reviewed 22 mRNA vaccine development investments and began canceling them. Let me explain why. Most of these shots are for flu or COVID, but as the pandemic showed us, mRNA vaccines don't perform well against viruses that infect the upper respiratory tract. Here's the problem. mRNA only codes for a small part of the viral proteins, usually a single antigen. One mutation and the vaccine becomes ineffective. This dynamic drives a phenomenon called antigenic shift, meaning that the vaccine paradoxically encourages new mutations and can actually prolong pandemics as the virus constantly mutates to escape the protective effects of the vaccine. Millions of people, maybe even you or someone you know, caught the Omicron variant despite being vaccinated. That's because a single mutation can make mRNA vaccines ineffective. The same risk applies to flu. After reviewing the science and consulting top experts at NIH and FDA, HHS has determined that mRNA technology poses more risks than benefits for these respiratory viruses.
And finally, love him or hate him, you cannot deny Donald Trump is one of a kind. Here he is yesterday on the roof of the White House.
Mr. President, what are you doing up there?
Come down and talk to us.
What are you building?
Are you considering more renovations, sir?
Hello, Peter. Looking good, Peter.
Are you going to build up?
Hi, sir.
And that's what happened while we were away.
Aaron's Montage, brought to you by, I've got two questions for you. Are you unknowingly funding the destruction of your own value system? Number 2, are you unknowingly funding the agenda to undermine what you just voted for in the last election? If you answered yes to one or both of those, or think it's even possible the answer could be yes, make sure you get a hold of our friends over at Constitution Wealth. They will help you take control of your portfolio, your investments, and the future of America. Do not have all the hard-earned wealth that you rightfully stored up because the worker's worth is higher and the good Lord blessed you with, to then have it weaponized against your worldview. Instead, it can be a valuable weapon for your worldview in the ongoing culture war here in America. And they'll help you learn how to do that. All right. They are one of the investment companies that can help you screen how to, where your investments are going, how to use your proxy votes to hold the companies you're invested in accountable at the exact same time. So just go to constitutionwealth.com/blaze for a free consultation to get started today at constitutionwealth.com/blaze. And remember that Constitution Wealth is a registered investment advisor. You should review their disclosures at constitutionwealth.com to understand their services and fees, and that all investing involves risk, including the risk of loss. I am a client of the firm. This is a paid endorsement, but my opinions are my own. Okay. First of all, let's start with the mRNA announcement yesterday by RFK Jr. and give that a resounding, I voted for this. And everything he told you there, we have been saying on this show since the spring and summer of 2021.
Yep.
It has been true all along. It has been true all along. Now, there's an analog to this, okay, which is that because you have to keep taking these shots over and over again, the risks that go along with these injections, from the lipid nanoparticles to the spike protein, we've used this analogy many times. It is Russian roulette. You are reloading the gun, and with every injection, you are multiplying your risk assessment. The shots are highly toxic. And that's even when they work on a very minimal basis. So, congrats to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for delivering on this, for actually following real science and data. But I kind of think the theme of Aaron's montage that I got out of this today is bluffs being called. Because everything that RFK Jr. said there, that is correct. And props to President Trump for nominating maybe the only man in America that could have conceivably gotten confirmed, that would have made the decision and the announcement that was made yesterday. So I don't want to underscore that at all. I don't want to underestimate that at all. That was, for those of us that have been on the front lines of this for the last few years, or somebody like Todd who's been on the front lines of this as a lifestyle for years before I even cared, right? You're in the minutia on this, but up here at the investor level, at the normie level, this is a cataclysmic moment in the messaging of this. I mean, the seal has been broken. The veil here has been torn. Maybe the biggest accomplishment of what RFK Jr. did in that video is he just took a crowbar and a 30-06 to the Overton window here. Because, and this is where I'm going to pivot next, this begs several questions. Let me give you one. If the new mRNA respiratory virus vaccines, I'm sorry, that was a Freudian slip because that's really what they are. If the new mRNA respiratory vaccines weren't going to work, and that's with the most updated technology, and that's with a severely diminished COVID-19 virus, that's with an immense amount of natural immunity already put into the population. If the new ones weren't going to work, and why haven't all of them been pulled? Why haven't the old ones been pulled then? Right? That's an obvious question. Correct?
Lots of obvious questions.
Yes. And you know what? Let's do it this way. Let's play a game. Bluff or plan? Bluff or plan? All right? Is a bluff going to get called, or is a plan in place? Fair?
Okay.
You guys all right with that? Bluff, or is a bluff going to get called, or is a plan in place? Because again, just I have to apply this to myself and not just, the 10 of you that had Gators and DeSantis 28 in your bios that believe that you cared more about this issue than Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's literally lost his entire family over it. Okay. Just blew my mind, but YOLO. All right. Anyway, I got to apply this to myself. All right. Because he knows these issues way better than I do. He knows this stuff way better than I do. I mean, back when I had to figure out what a Gardasil vaccine was because Rick Perry was running for president and mandated it on kids, he'd already been fighting this battle for, over a decade at that point. And that was more than a decade ago. So he has to understand the questions he is begging with everything that he just said there. Because this is his base. I mean, he really is the first mainstream figure to have to allow him and his platform to become a vehicle for these questions and this skepticism. So he has to know. He has to know that everything that he just said there about why they're not going to fund any more new ones of these applies to the old ones that are still available and on the market. So then why aren't those yanked? So bluff? Is this just, and in this case, it's he can't do it because the previous iteration of these has the president's signature on them. Okay. So he's doing what he can in and around the political realities in which he agreed to and signed up for, which is way more than we've ever seen before and way more than anybody else probably would be able to pull off, right? Or this is part of an overall plan. He is laying this out systemically, specifically to beg these questions because he plans on answering them later. What do you think?
Well, in this case, the answer is yes. Because there clearly is an overall plan with him, but part of that overall plan speaks to exactly what you said in offering Trump some degree of cover. If you recall, several months ago, we talked about this on the show. Kennedy made sure that these things were no longer required for children anymore. And if they are not required for every age demographic within a population, that means they can't be mandated. Mm-hmm. So you're right. There is a level of gamesmanship in here, I'm sure, to protect exactly what you're talking about with Donald Trump's role in the press, whether that's been explicitly said or this guy knows where his bread is buttered and says, if I'm going to be given carte blanche to do everything I want to, I need to carve out this niche here. Is anybody shocked that that level of political gamesmanship would be played, whether he's the president or somebody else is? But hey, I'm the original anti-vaxxer. If Kennedy gets to do whatever he wants to on this front and just has to allow this level of cover, I'm signing off on it because this is, like you said, this is kill shot kind of stuff that he's issuing.
How many successful vaccines have we created? I mean, since we really started mainstreaming or working on this within the scientific community en masse in the late 18th century, how many successful respiratory virus vaccines have we created?
You're not asking me that question. This is a rhetorical question.
It's rhetorical.
Steve, you've announced this many times over the years again, and the answer is a very small.
0.0 is the answer. Yeah. That's why he also threw the flu shot in there as an aside, because that would also be considered a respiratory virus or respiratory vaccine. All right. And if you want to say that that is some kind of a treatment, maybe it's a symptom lessener. That's one thing. Okay. But there's not nearly the amount of money to be made in symptom lessener as there is in the term vaccine. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So, the other factor here, and maybe it's a pure coincidence and they have been working on this for a while, but the timing of RFK Jr. going on vacation in the middle of July, while he is gone, all right, there is approval that just raised a lot of hackles and a lot of howls. There's approval of another mRNA vaccine for kids. All right. And then he comes back, heads roll, and then they make this announcement. Okay. Think that timing is coincidental? Because I kind of think that it's not.
Because the enemy knows exactly what I'm talking about. He played the game better than them by not making it mandatory just for kids, or not recommending it or requiring it for kids. You cannot mandate for the population at large.
Yep.
That's a kill shot to the entire system. Mm-hmm. They've been conning us that way for a very long time.
Like no one uses the term adult vaccination schedule or even know what it even is or if it's on it.
Yes.
But everybody knows what the childhood vaccination schedule is, right? That's the branding you're talking about. All right, let's get on to criteria number 2. All right. Plan in place or bluff about to be called. Tulsi Gabbard delivering all of her intel to the Department of Justice and then going on Pam Bondi's Home Away from Home, Fox News primetime, where she's seen there much more often than in courthouses, arresting and charging and prosecuting people. Okay. So then she goes on Pam Bondi's Home Away from Home to say, hey, I have bestowed upon thee a requisite amount of smoking guns, and now it's on them. All right. Plan in place, or bluff about to be called. What do you think?
Plan, and I'm so swooning over this plan. If you'll allow me, I'm going to go full superhero on this one.
You bet. Go ahead.
Well,
you must really love this one then. Go ahead.
Tulsi is just, and she's a cool chick. She's just one of the greatest scenes.
When she's not talking about Hiroshima, she is a cool chick. Yeah.
when one of the greatest scenes in all of superhero movies is when Wonder Woman, in the original Wonder Woman movie, they are in no man's land.
Right. She can't get across on her own.
She goes, well, I'm no man. And she just pulls out the cape, goes full Wonder Woman, and they do that slow motion. It's a GIF where she just starts strutting into it. And that's what Tulsi's doing right here. And as you've pointed out right before, everybody is just frozen by the status quo. We can't go in there. We can't do that. And she just says, no. And then she inspires everybody else to follow her lead. Tulsi Gabbard's just like, I'm going into no man's land. I'm tired of y'all's nonsense.
But remember, Wonder Woman can't get across on her own.
No.
She can't get across on her own either.
No.
So to me, to follow your movie analogy, because you know how much I love that movie, to follow your analogy, to take it all the way, it actually lines up with this scene. She's gotten as far as she can get across no man's land. All right? And so it's time to pass on and it's at that point then, what happens? Complementarianism actually gets modeled in that film, as we talked about back in the day when it came out. Now the men are like, actually, she's doing our job. And then they come and they rescue her, all right, and get her across to the other half of no man's land. That's essentially what she is saying to Pam Bondi here, or to use another movie line, help me, help you, right? But the hot potato is in her lap, in Pam's lap.
And the economy in the land of the chicks, this is how it works. Right now, Pam Bondi's just been content to wear hockey pants. But here...
How many more movie references can we mix into this
take?
take?
Make sure we go full superhero when it works. And she just goes out there, Tulsi strutting a little leg, and Pam's like, man, I better up my game here. I'm in. I'm totally in.
All right, you think it's a plan? You think it's a plan then? A bluff's not about to be called. You think it is a plan?
I would be deeply disappointed. Tulsi has shown that she is for real, I think.
I think that, well, listen, I think Tulsi's for real on this.
Yeah.
If for no other reason that she was nearly out a couple months ago because of the Hiroshima stuff, and I know that pissed Trump off. Okay?
It was the Hiroshima stuff, and then it was her testimony about...
Iran's nuclear capability.
Iran, but that was some sort of... That was lost in translation, some sort of semantics.
Yes. I'm 100% convinced that Tulsi is for real on this, okay? But I've given this all to the Department of Justice part, all right? Is that a planned handoff? Like, to use the terminology your family knows very well, this is a relay, all right? And Pam's sitting there getting a running start, expecting the baton to be placed into her hand, right? Or is Tulsi running to the end of the race as far as she can go, and then she's like, "What do you mean, we Lone Ranger?" Okay, I mean that's basically what I mean. I'm 100% convinced that Tulsi's legit on this. The handoff part, is that a bluff is about to be called, or is that part of a plan? That's the part I'm specifically talking about.
Well, Pam, you're up. Do you really want to do binders again? Do you really? I
think with Pam, we just need to... Everybody has, their rubric, their ultimate motivators and drivers. For Pam, I think it's just as simple as, what will get me booked on Fox News tonight? And just start with that. And since Fox is platforming Tulsi Gabbard saying, hey, I've given this over to the Department of Justice, and Pam's, at least as far as we have seen, a tree by its fruit, her driving impulse is what gets me on I got to think I actually think she's going to pick up this baton, because because now it totally exposes that she is the problem. It isolates her as
agreed.
the problem. Yeah.
And where is the L in either bringing up Hillary Clinton and other for, to actually answer for this, or for them to have to ignore subpoenas? Aren't there wins everywhere? And they're still going to call you all the names.
I can think of another guy named Steve who does a show around this time of day, who's probably very fascinated to see what happens when you ignore subpoenas. Because my man, who I've never even met, went to prison for 6 freaking months over that in an election year, if you recall. Okay, I'm talking about Steve Bannon. All right. So if, I would imagine Mr. Bannon and his people over there at War Room, okay, are probably very fascinated to see what happens when you start ignoring subpoenas, given what happened to him for doing it.
Where's the L?
Okay. The L is, if a bluff gets called, this is a massive L. This is an Omarosa Scaramucci term level rake step L. If Gabbard drops this off on their doorstep and they've got nothing.
Which is why, where's the L in actually following a plan? Which is why I'm saying the odds tell me this has to be a plan.
All right. Let me utter a sentence I really don't want to even contemplate, but, truth is, first and foremost on our show. Jasmine Crockett is correct.
Yep.
Now, as Aaron pointed out, in his speaking Chinese today, or learning Chinese today, she has been correct up until this point.
Yeah, we need to show her a pretty little jail.
Is she correct now? So, same question. All right. Is a bluff about to get called? Because one thing we've seen from Greg Abbott, he loves proclamations. And action's really not his thing in any way, shape, or form. All right. The man once declared a national emergency at the Texas border, and then did nothing. All right. So, is a bluff about to be called, or is there a plan in place? And Jasmine's going to get proven wrong.
I'm using the same standard as just the odds, but I think a bluff is about to be called. We've seen Don't Mess with Texas over and over and over again, and the default to just ridiculous nonsense in that state, I think the odds are high.
There's a variable here this time, though, that's different, and his name is Ken Paxton, and he would like to be a United States Senator. And he is polling dramatically ahead of John Cornyn. And that actually creates another variable named John Cornyn, all right, who just raised $13 million or something in the last quarter and would like to not go home with, with that just sitting in a bank account that he can't touch unless he's in the U.S. Senate. These two guys have an incentive to lean into this and push into this. And Paxton, as the AG, has power to do it. That did not exist before because of the electoral environment. Thoughts on that? That this might...
It's already happening.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I saw Cornyn going after Paxton the other day on this issue. I think it was on this issue.
So in other words, there are people that have an interest here beyond that. At this point, Greg Abbott's not the ultimate voice in the Texas Republican Party on this, because there are other people that have a vested interest in seeing this process through politically for their own fortunes. And they're the two guys running for the Senate seat.
I don't want to get into all the weeds on this, but is it right now in the last couple of weeks, Paxton's brand tarnished slightly because of some personal issues?
Now, the wife, you mean the divorce?
Yes. I don't know.
And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So, but also, this is Texas again. There should be all kinds. What you just said now in this particular instance should be true all the time.
You're right.
There should be 10-gallon hats down in Texas, and instead you let Sarah Gonzalez do all the heavy lifting. That pisses me off.
Who we love and adore, by the way. But she is just a little thing.
Yes.
Yes.
So count me skeptical on this one.
Yes.
You're going to have to show me, Greg Abbott. She's taunting you. I got this
Jasmine
pretty...
meaning, not Sarah. Although Sarah's not above taunting Greg Abbott.
I got this pretty little thing in front of me. Show her a pretty little jail. Then I'll believe you.
There you go. All right, when we come back, I want to share a really cool note, if you guys don't mind.
Good.
All right, we're going to do that next. Stay tuned. right, folks, in these unprecedented times, make sure that you've got a real estate agent that you can trust. And the good thing is we made it so easy. The name says it all. Head over to the website, realestateagentsitrust.com. That's realestateagentsitrust.com. A lot of things have gone differently, not just in the culture, but in the real estate market as well. And the last time we really even had a real estate market that was, well, a real estate market was this fall of 2019. That's how long it's been. So can you imagine how many changes have taken place since then? All right. And that's why it's more important than ever before now, is this is starting to rebound little by little. All right. It's more important than ever before you have an agent, that you can trust, that has a verified track record of success, that will have the level of success that'll have you recommending that person to your friends and family for years to come. So whether it's across town or across the country, wherever you want to go, ultimately, our friends will help you get there at realestateagentsitrust.com. Get started today at realestateagentsitrust.com. All right. Before we get to buy, sell, or hold, since we're off the next 2 days, you'll have a special edition show tomorrow. I think you'll really enjoy the conversation, and particularly if you've got young men in your life you care about, or you're one of those young men, all right? And then Friday, I'm just giving the team the day off for a long weekend. My guys, I got their back while I'm going to be braving the United States airline industry on the way home. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
Aaron in that background.
No joke.
Gosh. Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate that. All right. But so since there's no show on Friday, I thought a little mini feedback Wednesday, particularly because this note is very, very timely to the person who wrote it. And I do think it's a good prologue to what we're going to talk about with tomorrow's special edition. Okay. Steve, I hope this note finds you guys well. I have to confess, I haven't been able to dig into the show as much as I normally have over the last 14 weeks. But I've got a pretty good excuse. I've been at the police academy, following through on what I vowed I was going to do. I graduate tomorrow at 11 a.m. in Selma, Alabama. I'd invite you guys to come, but I'm thinking it's probably too late a notice. And a trip down to Alabama is out of the question. It is too late of a notice, but appreciate the invite nevertheless. And I know we haven't formally met or anything, so it might be weird, but I've invited everyone that has had a significant positive impact on my life all the same. I didn't know the date until a few days ago, and we haven't had a consistent phone access anyway as we were finishing up. Anyway, I just wanted to write and give you guys an update. I really appreciate the message that you guys put out daily. I've sought out discomfort and found it. Found new friends for life. Found a place to hopefully grow my communication skills and confidence, if nothing else, but hopefully I can put what I've learned to good use in my area and be a positive influence on those around me and develop skills that will translate into being a force multiplier for the ministry as well. And good use of the term force multiplier. A large part of this is thanks to you guys, your show, and your movie Nefarious. And I know the real credit there goes to God, but it was just the perfect culmination of events, beginning with seeing your movie, getting into your show, getting into Jack Carr's books, meeting an ex-Navy SEAL pastor that led me here. I've had the chance to both learn and teach. Can I pause right there? All right. What does it mean when the Word of God says one plants, another waters, and God gives the increase? Just that chain of events that my man here that we're sharing his note just laid out. All right. Just the pieces that God puts in place to complete the puzzle. It's amazing. This experience has made me a better husband and dad too. It's also helped to show me the other side, behind the curtain, if you will, on some policing. Some of my beliefs have stayed the same regarding the topic and field, and others have changed. I'm hoping to stay in this career field longer than I could in my last one, but even if I don't, much progress for me was still made here. I had to really dig deep and lean into my faith to get through some of these days. I had to let go of things and just go and trust God. And I pray that if something like another COVID ever comes along, then I am given the strength to handle that the way I've learned some of these other guys did, with proper regard for our freedoms in the face of a probable job loss or maybe even worse. Thanks for all you guys do. Continue to fight the good fight. And I want to make sure I pronounce this Latin correctly, Todd, so correct me if I'm wrong. Semper Paratus? That sound right to you?
Paratus?
Yeah, Paratus.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, Semper Paratus. And that's from Joseph. And here's why I wanted to share this note. The way that we talk to the men at times on this show seems odd because of the era in which we live. But in reality, this is the way that men were talked to pretty much until this era.
Correct.
To get them to do and inspire them, there were two things that would typically, and three things that would typically inspire males, to become the men you want them to become. And it's not even necessarily Christianity per se, because this was true in cultures where Christianity did not even exist. Okay? It's just something uniquely embedded in us by our Creator. And Christ, of course, is the only one true God. But even in pagan cultures, we can't outrun the old magic. That wiring was still there within the males. A desire for significance, to leave a legacy. A woman or other men came along and challenged them and dared them to do better. Even in cultures where the Bible wasn't known, wasn't taught, these three things were intrinsic to the masculine experience. To use Joseph's phrase here, force multipliers, motivators.
Right there in Romans 1.
Absolutely. The rain falls on the just and the unjust alike, Christ says. There's the laws of nature and nature's God. They were in effect during the second Ming dynasty in China, every bit as much as they were when Moses came down from the mountain, because the whole creation is his. So whether they understood that over there on the other side of the Great Wall or not, they were in effect nevertheless. A desire for legacy, significance, a woman, or being challenged and dared to do better by other men, particularly a dad. And so it seems odd or weird in our era, maybe even negative. And hey, I'm not saying that we're perfect, and there aren't times maybe we are too negative. But by and large, men respond, well, if you want a man and you want to become one, it is the challenge. It is the being challenged that you will ultimately discover whether you're capable of that or not. And it will not be in the comfortable. It will not be at everything you're naturally better at everybody else at then. It will not be that. It will be in the kinds of things that are in Joseph's note here. And so the reason we do challenge the men so often on this show is because you were made for way more than this. You were just made for way more than this. We all were. I mean, one of the reasons why I fell into many of the pathologies of the godless, fatherless men of this era is because nobody told me that. Yeah, I was naturally gifted in some areas that other people weren't. But it was directionless. It was purposeless. I needed to be confronted. I needed to be challenged. Someone needed to say, I dare you to do better than that, because that ain't good enough. We're not women. We're different. And it is extremely rare. I'm not saying it never happens, but it is extremely rare that any man will meet his full God-given potential by strictly being in an environment of positive reinforcement. I'm also not saying there's no place for positive reinforcement. That's why I'm taking an entire segment out of my show today, unannounced, to read Joseph's note. My man, congratulations. Couldn't be there tomorrow, but I did you one better. I did you a solid. Now people all over America know about this. And they know who you are, and they're proud of you too. But this constant desire of needing affirmation, this constant desire of needing approval, earn it. You know what you need to do is earn it. Earn the affirmation. Earn the approval. You need to earn it. And again, it's just going to be very rare for any man to reach his God-given potential by being in a strictly positive, reinforcing environment. In fact, I would go so far as to say it's impossible in this particular culture because all we're offering are positive reinforcement environments. Well, we're really offering our social pathologies masquerading as positive reinforcement. Settle down. Don't take a risk. Take a government check. Don't ask her out. Just go to Pornhub. We're de-incentivizing significance. In fact, if you want to know why we have a lack of men, let me go to those 3 force multipliers I just mentioned that even in pagan cultures drove men to greatness. Where is significance found today? I mean, even look at our athletes. Just based on his life, I doubt Michael Jordan is hosting a lot of Bible studies. Fair? But the generational difference between him and LeBron James is just palpable.
Yep.
Palpable. Like Jordan wanted to end you. LeBron wants to whine, wants to cry. Jordan flopping like that would have never happened. LeBron's made a career out of it. The role models seeking out of significance to emulate the greatness, the excellence, to want to emulate that, to want to better that, largely doesn't exist in this era. So that box isn't checked.
Yeah.
Women, well, we don't know what a woman is. Or the women are so broken, they'll give me what I most want from a woman without having to give her anything in return that she most wants from me. Or the culture's so broken that I can just take a few minutes out of my day, get the release I need in the privacy of my own home on the internet, and then just go about my day and never actually step into any of the roles that accompany those biological components, like being a husband and a father. So that box isn't checked. We're 0 for 2 here. 0 for 2.
Yes.
And then other men to challenge me? Well, we don't have a lot of dads. We have too many dads that you might even be better off without, frankly. I mean, if you can't get a dad to get out of the stands and stop doom scrolling on Instagram while his daughter's life's work in the swim meet or the track meet is being taken away from him, if he won't do it for his princess, can you imagine he's never going to come close to doing anything close to what needs to be done for the prince? So we're 0 for 3. We're 0 for 3.
You know, and some people are 0 for 3 by they made good contact, a hardliner to the shortstop or something. No, we're striking out.
Yes. It's just, we're not even in the game.
No.
We're not even in the game. So I know it can be harsh at times, but this is how men were talked to for ages. And it helped to produce the kinds of men that defended the women rather than grab their phones and film it while a chick's getting beaten up on the subway. And it has nothing to do with physical prowess. What was in Aaron's montage today? Buck 05 big balls.
Yep. Tried
to step in, okay? That dude probably can't bench his weight. Are you kidding me? We can all probably bench his weight, right? But the instinct to step in and do something, now he paid a dear price for it. But I'm going to tell you right now, man, I'm in a fight, I'm taking that guy over the fitness guru who shut his account on TikTok down because he got too much negative feedback over Hulk Hogan's death.
Preach.
Get out of here, bro. And if you remember when I used to talk during lockdowns and stuff about the bro dudes listening to Rogan with their 24-inch pythons, who also made sure that their little princess Maggie had on her mask before they went into Costco. It's the guy, that TikTok influencer, is exactly what I'm talking about. Give me Doge Bucko-5 big balls in a fight. We're probably still going to lose, but at least I know a punch is getting thrown. We're at least going to make the other side, they're going to have to break a sweat. We're not just going to, what's the point of lifting all those weights if Butter Your Biscuit 14 so emotionally overwhelms you that you have to tap out? Come on, man. Come on. That's the other thing, too. See, even if men thought that or wanted to do things like that, they'd never broadcast it, they'd never share it. Because the law of the jungle would be like, what? There'd be steep internal consequences. I know we joke about the dude code, but it's actually kind of a thing. Now, most of what we say about on the show is a joke, but it does actually exist. Well, let me rephrase that. It used to. It used to exist. I mean, can you imagine 30 years ago, a fitness guru is saying, I just got so many negative voicemails, guys, I had to shut, would have never said that out loud in a million years. Even if he had a bad night and thought it, would have kept it to himself. And here's the thing, he'd have kept it to himself, got up the next morning and looked in the mirror and thought, what am I doing here? And then just went about his day and acted like, let's forget that whole thing happened. Now I'm incentivized. I'm incentivized to wimp out. Here you read Joe's note. I changed my career. I got into something that makes me uncomfortable. I did something I didn't think I could finish. So let me pay you the ultimate compliment, my friend. Well done, good and faithful servant. May your house increase, and may others in our audience now go and do likewise and follow your lead. This note, what does leadership look like? It looks like what's exactly in this note that I just shared. That's what it looks like.
Proud of you, brother. Very
Absolutely.
proud of you.
That's what discipleship looks like, too. And that's even more important than leadership. Did I make a good decision to pause the show to read this note?
ICE. Lots of jobs, I'm hearing. They're hiring.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Want to go on an adventure?
You get to clean the house up for us. Take the trash out. Because there's a lot of people in this country that clearly don't want to be and should not be. So I say we honor their requests. Hour 2 is next. We are back here with Hour 2, live and on demand on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast with Aaron McIntyre and Todders, and I am Steve Deace. Let us know what you think about what we think via the stevedeace.com inbox by emailing the show, steve@stevedeace.com. That's DEACE. Like us on Facebook, MeWe, and Gab. Follow us at Steve Deace Show on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can try, and we put the emphasis on try. Subscribing to our YouTube channel. I think this is our 4th one. I've lost track. At Deace Show on YouTube. Has anyone tried harder than we have to get censored by YouTube? I mean, we just keep...
To be fair, did we try that hard?
No, I mean, I love the fact we keep trying new pages, but then we're still doing all the same content, so they hate us nevertheless. Anyway, give it a shot. You know, it's our fun little game. Will your subscription count? All right. YouTube, go to @Deace Show on YouTube, @Deace Show on YouTube. Then you can also subscribe to the podcast version if you love the podcast. Thank you. Apple these days, you don't hit subscribe, you hit follow. And that makes sure, but everybody else is still subscribed. And that makes sure that every time we do one of these new shows, it's right there in your podcast feed every single time. And then also don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. If you love the show, we love you. Please declare your love for all to see. And thanks to all of you that have done that. Thanks as well to our friends over at Moxie Pest Services. They want to make sure that your pest control service isn't a pest, right? And so it's the little things that they do exceedingly well, all right? And that's why they are celebrating their 25th anniversary, because they're not the pest control company that has their technicians and agents track, all throughout your house. They're not the folks that you trusted with the garage code so they could come in and spray and examine while you're at work. And then they left the garage wide open for who knows how long, and anybody could have just walked in. Or they're not the people that do the same thing with the gate to your back door. So anybody could have just gone in there as well, right? They do the little things. They do daily check-ins with their technicians from both a customer service, but also, a technical service perspective as well, to make sure they've got the latest cutting-edge technologies, and they are doing the little things that add up to a lot that'll turn you into a loyal customer. So if you want to experience some of that and find out for yourself why they've been around for 25 years, you can help them celebrate their 25th year in business by getting your first pest control service for just $25. Your first pest control is just $25 at moxieservices.com/Steve. MOXIE for moxieservices.com/Steve. Use the promo code Steve. You'll get that first pest control service for just $25 at moxieservices.com/Steve using the promo code Steve. All right, Daniel Horowitz going to join us at the bottom of the hour, but let's get to it. It is time to play buy, sell, or hold. You guys know how this works. You guys have been giving Aaron your submissions for the last 20 hours or so. Aaron will select the ones that we're going to answer. Todd and I have yet to see them. We will see them and react right alongside of you guys here live on the show. We'll have a buy or a sell. You are permitted to hold, but since that does existentially violate the aforementioned dude code, you will have to find out this week's penalty for violating the code, Todd. You will need to have firsthand knowledge of whether or not Lindsey Graham is gay or retarded. You're going to have to confirm that yourself.
Oh, well, I thought that was sounding ominous, but that's the easiest out you ever gave me.
You think so?
Well, you gave me an option. Gay, no way, but you said or retarded? I don't think
Are you going to go Tony Stark? Why not? Why not both?
I don't think has to be any
Why not
lawful
both?
carnal knowledge involved in that, does there? Did you just play yourself?
Does there?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, Aaron, go ahead.
All right, we begin with Anna, who says, my dad is making fun of Aaron for seeing Pitbull because he wishes that he looked more like Mr. 305.
Oh, no. Oh, my.
I didn't really take it that you were making fun of me. Were you?
A little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got to get video of Aaron just doing the night at the Roxbury,
That's
the Pitbull concert, standing still with a head bob.
Supposed to be this Sunday.
Is it?
And I'm not sure. No. I can barely walk.
Dude, well played. I'm sorry, is this on? I'm sorry. Okay. I'm gonna buy. What do you think of me with the bald look?
I was just going to say, maybe that's what we really need to talk about. Maybe it's time to shave the dome.
You think so? You like that?
There might be something to that.
You think so? Is it an improvement?
Go full Kojak?
You think so?
Like it.
All right. Who loves you, baby? Who loves you, baby?
You like sucker the whole time? The audience will love that in the microphone, so let's go.
All right.
Next, we go to uncontexted Deace 2. I think you guys were just talking about this during the break. Lindsey Graham will go on Hannity and vow to get to the bottom of the dildo assault on the WNBA.
Oh, man. See, you don't even know. Off air, Steve and I were having a conversation, and we were a little worried we might be disappointed at the end of the segment, guys.
It took the second offering. Yeah, we should have known better.
Yeah.
We knew you guys would deliver. We knew you would. Yes.
Clutch.
Yeah, you did come in. Didn't even wait till crunch time.
No.
Just came right out. What you do,
No.
you bury that opponent early on.
Yes.
So there's no hope, no pressure. You just bury them early on and just kind of coast from there. So well done. That was the second one out. All right. Because we were talking about if there's not at least one green dildo reference, then we are canceling buy, sell, or hold. And it can never happen again.
They're going to build statues of you. Songs will be written about you. Who is this?
Next, we go to Micah, who says Zoran Mamdani getting elected and thereby New York's imminent, if temporary, decline will prove to be a net benefit for the Republicans.
I don't see how this isn't 100% possible. Now, how big is the net? Okay, because what are they going to do? What are they going to do dumb? All right, to detract from their own profit margin. Okay, but there's just no question that he is the full embodiment of everything that people like us have been warning about for how many years, and they're rallying to him. All right, I mean they're branding him. You saw Elizabeth Warren doing that yesterday. So 100% agree with that, and I'll buy.
Very near term, and I think that's what you're saying, buy. Long term, as I've said before, though, you cannot have all of America's cities turn into un-American hellscapes. Long term, this is a definite L. And maybe you have to, you have to burn Atlanta first before you reclaim the South. I mean, I get it, but long term, this is dangerous.
I agree with that. And I think if you look at the history of cultures where communism becomes a viable alternative within the political mainstream, where it leaves the fringe, and now it's become a legitimate, no matter how vehement the argument, and this is a very important point, so a little close to the speaker here when I say this, no matter how vehement the argument is against it, I cannot think of a single culture in which it became an open alternative, openly discussed, that it did not eventually gain control for at least some period of time of the political process, and thus the culture, because it's really a religion. It's not, that's really what it is. So you're right. In the short term, this is a net benefit. If we do not take advantage of this short term, somebody like him will then, at least in Aaron's lifetime, maybe not ours, maybe, somebody like him will be president of the United States, or whatever carcass of this country still exists, where like John Daniel Davidson told us last year, where America doesn't go away, it just becomes evil like Western Europe. That's what we're talking about here. So once this gains enough of a foothold that it becomes mainstream, and there's a lot of theories I could offer as to why. I think the number one reason why is because a culture and its ruling class, or its pre-existing governing class, maybe is how I would put it, have to become so feckless and ineffective for this to become mainstream in the first place. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. That then you're already at a tipping point. Once it becomes mainstream in the first place, you're already at a tipping point, and it doesn't take much of a push to go over the cliff from there. All right. So we are in a positive moment, but that doesn't mean we necessarily have a real movement yet.
Next, we go to the sniper. I thought this was a creative submission. Most likely real future AI outcomes based on movies.
Okay.
Number 6, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Hello, Dave.
Hello. So HAL 9000 believes it is a sentient and starts making its own decisions and value judgments. I would make that number 1, actually, but okay.
Number 5, iRobot. Is it Vicky?
Yep. Yeah. I still think HAL is way more likely, but okay, I'll buy.
Number 4, Avengers Endgame. Friday, a helpful assistant.
I think that is the least likely outcome because of the state of our own humanity. All right. But that's the most hopeful one, so I will buy.
Number 3, Avengers Age of Ultron, self-replicating madman.
I think that this is absolutely on the table. Again, because of what I just said, because of our own lack of humanity. I mean, listen, guys, just a couple hours north of us, the state of Minnesota is just up there applauding that you can murder your child. Literally, if there is as long as a pinky toe is dangling from the mom's vulva, you can just hack that thing if you want. And they're up there applauding it. That's the Minnesota Democratic Party. All right. So this option, I think, is definitely on the table.
Number 2, Terminator and Skynet.
I would sell on that just because it doesn't, I don't think that level of dystopia lines up with any form of a biblical worldview.
And number 1, The Matrix.
I am buying on this list just because you put The Matrix at number 1. It doesn't matter what else you says. You totally understand the assignment. Way too much cover, cipher. Ignorance is bliss. I want to go back and live in the pod and have football be my boyfriend. You understood this assignment. Well done.
I agree, provided we're talking again about something that's a little bit more benign version of this, like a WALL-E. So somewhere between WALL-E and The Matrix, a more benign version of this, I think absolutely is on the table, because we're living too many people are living a facsimile of this as we speak right now. So yes.
Nailed it.
Next, we go to Clinton, who says people who deny the papacy, and he cites Matthew 16, 18, and 19, are not only denying the office of the Pope that Christ established, but also denying the prophecy of it from Isaiah 22. He cites.
Listen, the papacy or anything else, in terms of Catholic teaching doctrine. To be fair, the modern age that we have lived in, this is what people have been exposed to. 12 years of Francis. And before that, within the confines of two very orthodox popes, though, you had the priest abuse scandal. And at the end, the specific teaching authority of Pope John Paul II was basically just visual learning how his example of suffering. But that was so. I want to caution my Catholic friends not to fall into what has been happening and what has been documented on a very aggressive Protestant track of thinking on X, on social media. There are understandable reasons why Christians who aren't Catholic of good faith take issue with the papacy currently. So whenever you're writing whatever you're writing about Catholic teaching, take that into account. There is no reason to come off sounding in any way like many people are talking about Catholics today. You can be very focused and pointed in your discussion, but trying to make them, and I'm not sure if that's what you're trying to do, but your only goal, unless you're flat out dealing with a troll, it should not be just to try to make them sound stupid, because they're not.
In honor of the grace you showed there, I will, I'll just echo what he just said. I'll just second that, and not take it on with an opposing intellectual framework, because I thought you showed an immense amount of grace there. So I want to honor that, so I will buy. But let me just say, as a general rule, or as for this general moment, I would love nothing more than for Leo XIV to be the kind of pope that has my fellow Protestants wishing we had more leaders like that. I would love nothing more than that. The acute cultural impact that would have. I mean, is immeasurable of what that would do for the West. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, next we go to Tyler, who says Christian music from 1995 to 2005 was the best period of Christian music.
You know, I think we're talking CCM, Aaron, fair?
Yes.
Okay, then you know what? That was kind of the era, towards the end of that era when I got converted, and so that's the era of that music that, I really got hooked on. The Third Days, which I still love going back and listening to stuff like that. So I'll buy that, yeah, for sure. I don't really follow the really contemporary Christian music that much anymore. So that era, even when I go into my Amazon and I play my CCM playlist, it's still music that is all from that era and not even kind of the new CCM. So I'll buy.
The answer is Gregorian chant, you heretic.
There's the Romanist. There he is.
I like it. Yes.
Next we go to Brian, who says the just civil war theory requires a council of the churches to be called to bring, chastise, rebuke, and consolidate the churches to one body in Christ. Buy, sell, or hold. The just civil war theory you laid out requires a council like this.
Oh, I would buy that for sure. Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a reason why I started this off yesterday saying, I'm not here to even try to hold Augustine's jockstrap, right? I'm not trying to win an argument. I'm trying to start one. I'm introducing, a proposition, hopeful that people smarter and more qualified than me will then take it from here and actually put flesh and bone on it. So I will wholeheartedly buy that for sure. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I keep calling for this great American Protestant council. It would be pay-per-view. It would be fascinating, and it would be good for everybody. It would be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but yeah, let's let iron sharpen iron. Amen.
Okay, next we go to They All Knew, who says all the investigations and grand juries will be the usual GOP bluster and fundraising theater, and no one meaningful will ever be prosecuted.
I'm going to sell because I don't think there's fundraising off of this if they do anything anymore. The level of frustration that people have over this, that I just don't see fundraising off of this as the ends without action. I just don't think it'll be a successful endeavor. I just don't.
Agreed.
That doesn't, by the way, that doesn't mean that they won't disappoint us again. But if they think that this will be some kind of successful fundraising thing, that dog ain't gonna hunt. I mean, that people are, nope. So no, guys. Granted, it was a fill-in host who I know and really like, Brianna Morello. All right, but I was brought on InfoWars over the weekend to say we have to have arrests or none of this matters. If that gives you a little bit of an idea, okay, into where people are at, all right, in terms of their level of just being fed a narrative and an engagement farm, being an engagement farming proxy. I'm not saying that they may think that, I'm not saying that they're not thinking that's what they're going to do again over there, but that's not, it won't work. The fundraising they think they will get off of a lack of inaction and just kvetching is not going to deliver anymore.
Agreed.
Next is G. Harmon, who says it's more likely that we get the Epstein files than that the runaway Texas Democrats will ever or either be arrested or have their seats vacated.
If that is my choice, I will buy, given the people that are ultimately going to oversee the Epstein decision and their track record compared to the people that ultimately will oversee the Texas situation. But I do this with a caveat. There is a variable here, and you have two men in a hotly contested U.S. Senate seat. And one of them has a lot of power as a state attorney general to act on this front. And another has a powerful platform to urge real action on this front in being an incumbent U.S. senator. Do not underestimate that angle to this, the ambition angle to this, all right, and how hotly contested that primary is, which is a model for why we need more of these kinds of primaries to keep people in line and keep them motivated, all right? That's a topic, I guess, a side topic, but maybe I'll even get to that. You know what? Remind me. I want to ask Daniel about that next segment because that'll be right in his wheelhouse, all right? But that is a variable here to consider. Okay. Which is why I had to think about it for a second. Because listen, if the track record is Donald Trump or Greg Abbott,
right?
I'm not saying that Donald Trump bats 1,000, but dude, is Ted Williams compared to, he's at least a 400 hitter.
Yeah.
Greg Abbott ain't on the Mendoza line, right? So I'll buy, but I don't think it's as disparate maybe as you think because of what I just said.
And I'll narrowly sell, even though I just got done saying how skeptical I was about this happening in Texas, but I'm even more skeptical of it happening vis-a-vis the Epstein list.
Hey, before we continue on with buy, sell, or hold, don't forget about our friends at Relief Factor. If you're waking up every day and struggling with chronic pain, we may have the solution for you. Now, no guarantee. That's why I said may. But 70% odds are pretty good because that's what we've seen over the course of time with Relief Factor. Over 1 million people have tried the 3-week quick start. 70% of them saw such good results in 3 weeks or less, like Deborah Ann from Massachusetts. She used to have severe hip pain, easy for me to say. Then she went to Relief Factor. It was gone in actually just 4 days. She didn't even need the 3 weeks. It was gone in just 4 days, right? So now she sings its praises. You could be her next success story. We're not guaranteeing anything, but 70% odds for a $20 wager, that's a pretty good value bet right there. So why don't you see if you don't see a difference in your chronic pain in 3 weeks or less with Relief Factor? Go to the website, relieffactor.com. Maybe you could be the new Deborah Ann from Massachusetts. That's relieffactor.com. Get the 3-week quick start for just $20 to get you started at relieffactor.com.
Next is Holger, who says that Disney can salvage the damage done to the Star Wars franchise by reimagining the 3-movie prequels by going all in with George Lucas's original story arc that Jar Jar was really a sinister Darth Lord.
This has to be a joke, right?
Is that really the real original?
I have no idea. But here sell. If they really want to salvage the brand, here's what needs to happen. All right. What needs to happen is a 5-year moratorium on any new Star Wars live action content through that IP.
You need to let the past die.
Yep.
Kill it.
Yep. Actually, even though we all hated that messaging in 2018, but given what they've done to it since 2018, it actually is prophetic. They need to let a moratorium. And then what I would suggest actually is after 5 years, go way back into the past. All right. And tell the stories of many of the legacies of the Star Wars universe. Where did the Force come from? Where did the dark side come from? Okay. Tell those stories because they also restore, they show the audience your love of the subject matter and material and the canon and the tradition. All right. Which you have defecated all over here for going on 10 years. But the first step, there needs to be a 5-year moratorium. Just no live action Star Wars content for 5 years. We're going to take a time out here.
Remember how proud we were just a few short minutes ago of the green dildo submission? I'm the opposite of that now.
The damage has been done. It's been undone.
I'm just broken now.
Did a green dildo just get thrown onto our set? Is that what happened?
It's like it never happened. We were on such a high.
Todd was even quoting superhero movies again. Yes.
You had me. And now
you don't have him.
I'm gone again.
Todd just said you lost your salvation, Holger. Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
Yep, that happened.
That's exactly. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Let's go on to Live Free, who says, and setting aside spiritual and cosmic components, from strictly a matter-of-fact standpoint, the Democrat Party has now become a political haven for the least informed, least knowledgeable, most intellectually incurious, most historically ignorant, and most non-critical thinking citizens.
100%. 100%. We saw this during COVID. I said, the new national trend is compliance. Compliance. I want to show I'm compliant. I want to what do you call it? Invincible ignorance, right?
Yes.
I want to prove that I really don't think for myself at all. Here's my mask. Here's my hashtag stay home, save lives. Here's my Vax card. Here are my pronouns. Here's my Ukraine flag. All right. I'm eager to demonstrate my compliance with the spirit of the age, that I am proud of my lack of agency and my forsaken autonomy. All right. We've gone from my body, my choice from the left to my mind to your mind. Okay. Resistance is futile. So 100% this is correct.
Here's the problem with that. Right now, it seems to be pointing in our favor on numerous fronts. You never know when the tide turns based on whatever circumstances, because this exact same thing was true right before COVID happened. When COVID and transgenderism, that's when exactly what you're talking about, instead of a laugh track, became the Borg, and it ruled everything in your life. See, that's the thing. This is, in the near term, there's wins. This is the same issue as just described in New York. In the long term, this plans on snuffing you out hard. You must deal with it.
Because here's why. It won't self-extinct.
No.
It'll metastasize. It'll grow. All right? So that is what tumors do. They don't just, barring a miracle, they don't just go away on their own. All right? So this one won't either. It will grow. And it will continue to grow until it is removed.
I feel bad for actually reading this one since Todd was so gracious a few moments ago. But Trumpet Tiger says, Catholicism's clergy-oriented, anti-individualistic theology has made Todd far too comfortable.
See, now this is my turn now.
I think Trumpet Tiger's being facetious.
I think he is too. But if
he's not. He hates me.
Oh, that's a real person.
Yeah, he hates me.
I'm glad I took it then.
All right.
No, he hates me.
Oh, and you gotta also love, I was actually gonna be gracious. No, this is real. This guy just hates me. Oh, okay, then never mind. No, let me, of all the things to say about Todd Erzin, and there are many, and they're not all good. Just keeping it real. Right.
I love that. Gosh, you honor me. That was like another way of saying the only reason I want to see that movie, you compared me to the lovable douche, the Green Lantern.
Yes.
I'm in.
There is way too comfortable. Although I do love turning his own phrase against him. It's just not appropriate on any level. Literally. I mean, the guy has had half a back for the last month. Okay. So no, Todd is not way too comfortable. All right. So I will sell.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we go to this. Adam the Ex-Terminator says, now that it's announced and official, ESPN buying NFL media is the third nail in the coffin that is the NFL. If overpriced tickets, wokeness, and softness that has caused declines in viewership before, media handled by ESPN will continue the downturn. Is it true that NFL Network was not exceedingly profitable?
That is true. In fact, they went to seasonal programming here in the last couple of years, where
that's what I thought.
They were just running reruns and replays and not doing live programming year round like they originally started out doing. So, if this is a tough one, because right now, and this is why Todd rails against it, it is the most embedded leisure pursuit the NFL is, and it has proven to be more bulletproof than even Hollywood has been. I mean, its viewership is growing while Hollywood's is, and the mainstream movies, we're watching Marvel's cinematic universe just implode before us. The NFL is not even close to something like that. It's growing, actually. All right. So, I mean, the NFL preseason game last week between my Lions and the Chargers had twice as many viewers than half of the NBA playoff games did this last season. All right. So I'm going to sell on your meta point, but do I think that they could kill this NFL Network product by ESPNing it? I do buy that. All right. But would it dent the overall NFL? No. On that, I will sell. But if I were an employee at the NFL Network or Red Zone, would I make sure that my resume is updated? I might.
Does this... Listen, it's important to understand that just because you like something, it doesn't mean you're part of idol worship. But what Steve just described there, the NFL is an idol. It is undeniable idol in our culture. And this doesn't come anywhere close to addressing that. It only doubles down on it and makes it worse.
Daniel Horowitz is next. Stay tuned. All right, folks, it is time to make America cooler again with our friends over at Taiga Coolers. You know I don't endorse junk, and Taiga is the furthest thing from it. They still believe in self-reliance, craftsmanship, good old-fashioned freedom, and they're made right here in the good old US of A as well. All right, so they're very cool coolers. They work very well, but here's what sets them apart. The customizable options. They let you design your own cooler. Company logos, team colors, family names, scripture verses, patriotic designs. You dream it, they'll build it as long as it's not obscene or gets them sued for a copyright violation. They've got it for you. So this isn't for cookie cutter branding. This is to make your cooler yours. So it's not just a great cooler. It's a custom cooler for you as well. So don't sleep on it, man. Go to taigacoolers.com right now. That's TAIGA. TAIGA for taigacoolers.com. Get your custom cooler built your way by folks who still believe in the same values of faith, family, and freedom that you do. Tell them Steve Deace sent you. They'll know exactly what that means. And if you use my code Steve, you'll get 10% off at taigacoolers.com. All right, live the cooler life at taigacoolers.com. TAIGA at taigacoolers.com. Use the code Steve for the discount. All right, we bring in now the prophet of woe and lamentation himself, Daniel Horowitz. And Daniel, I want to cross the streams here. The Ghostbusters warned us against doing so, but I want to cross the streams here and get your take on a story, because I wonder if there's maybe an angle to this, because it's not typically the kind of story you would follow. Just because I know the way you are wired, and you're like, listen, when they start arresting people, call me and I'll start covering these documents. I just know you, okay? But there is an angle here that, like the Texas situation, for example. So we played a clip at the top of the show, Jasmine Crockett essentially just taunting Texas Republicans. Yeah, I was in the legislature the last time you guys did this. I got my threatening letter from Greg Abbott framed at my office. Y'all are basically a bunch of pansies. She's just calling out their manhood, right? Now, there is a variable here that did not exist before, and this is in your wheelhouse. See, we have a very hotly contested U.S. Senate primary in that state. And one of the candidates in that state for that gig is the Attorney General, who does wield some power here. So when this kind of grandstanding was done in the past, the governor's office, inhabited by Greg Abbott, who is a do-nothing governor for the most part, that was where the buck stopped. But in this case, we now have an Attorney General, an activist one, who has filed a lot of the kinds of lawsuits guys like you and I like, okay? But now he's got another incentive to see what kind of power he has here because he's in a Senate primary. You have John Cornyn issuing proclamations and statements saying the kinds of things we could never get John Cornyn to say or do before. I guess that's what happens when you're down by double digit in the polls. So might we see might we see Texas Republicans here, even if they originally intended this to be just another grandstanding effort and they weren't going to do anything? Could this story with the redistricting maps and the Texas Democrats evacuating the state, could it get beyond them and maybe what they intended up front? Because we do have this primary dynamic in the state, and other men with great power are incentivized to act on this in ways maybe beyond what the people in Austin are thinking right now. What do you think of that?
That's a really tough question, Steve. I'm like 50-50 on that because generally the answer is no. They're not going to put people in handcuffs and take it to the brink. The problem is this is sort of like nominating Supreme Court justices for Republicans in the U.S. Senate, where you have to have something to hang your hat on. Mm-hmm. So right now, the big thing is redistricting because they have no narrative to win a general election. They're not nominating exciting people for the most part in red states to replicate Florida. In fact, we might go backwards even there. So they don't really have much to show us. The economy is horrible. There's no big accomplishment. So they're like, let's squeeze out a couple of seats. Now, I support it. I just don't think if you're facing a tsunami with a bad economy, even a historically average party out of power win, I don't think they have enough seats to net. Democrats will retaliate, so that will cut a little bit into it in their states. And then, Steve, there's the courts. But the courts. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have their say, and whatever they say is the word of God. So, I think it's going to be limited. I don't think the House control is fundamentally going to hinge upon it. That's just my view. But they need to sell the people that it will. So if you cave on this, it's a little bit hard. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna do a hold here and buy, sell, and hold.
Wow.
Because it's like, on the one hand, I
feel like I just won the day. I feel like I just won the day. I have perplexed Daniel Horowitz. I think I have just won the day.
Did you just solve the Kobayashi Maru?
Yeah, what was the Lindsey Graham punishment today?
Oh, no.
You had to,
oh, no.
You had to get firsthand knowledge if Lindsey Graham is gay or retarded. You had to confirm that yourself. Yes, that's what it was.
I think Steve, you are onto something that's very important, but I would argue that it's somewhat mitigated. Primaries. I mean, look, we all believe choice and competition betters society. We believe that when you have a true free healthcare market, education, housing, something we don't have today because we have a venture socialist economy run by a handful of companies ponied up by government. But when you have industries where, people are vying for your business, they serve the customer more. And I think you are seeing that with Cornyn in the Senate race. It's the only race we see in recent memory where the incumbent is starting out behind in the polls. Mm-hmm. Now, the mitigating factor there is that it would have been great had we had that with Abbott and with Speaker Burrows. Okay, who's the guy that really holds the power there in the chamber, who knew they were going to escape and did not close the doors beforehand, and then grandstanded afterwards because he got elected speaker with those very Democrat votes. Now, I know I'm not supposed to mention this, but I got to say it. Trump preemptively endorsed Speaker Burrows, all of his lieutenants, and Greg Abbott for 10th term. What is it? A 4th or 5th term or something. So that's part of the problem. So you're onto something. But I would tell you, Steve, imagine if we wouldn't have had those endorsements and we'd have a competition for the statewide offices as well.
All right, I want to go to the federal level on this next when it comes to Tulsi Gabbard's interview on Laura Ingraham last night, what she said and what it may mean. But first, I want to tell our friends about XXXY Athletic Apparel. They are the one athletic brand standing up for American values like free speech and biological reality. Listen, 80% of Americans agree that men don't belong in women's sports, but unfortunately, too many are still too afraid to stand up and say it. Well, now, you can say it with what you wear. There's a brand saying it for you. You just wear XXXY Athletics. It's the only brand defending free speech, protecting women's sports. And the clothes are also so high quality that Todd Erzin will wear them as well. In fact, he's wearing one of them right now. If Aaron, you want to get a shot of that, there, the girl dad shot there. That's one of those shirts right there from Todd Erzin. There you go. All right, so head to thetruthfits.com. Great name for a website, by the way. Visit thetruthfits.com. Use the promo code BLAZE20, and you'll get 20% off when you go to thetruthfits.com. Thetruthfits.com. Use the code BLAZE20. You'll get 20% off some cool shirts like the one Todd is wearing today. That's code BLAZE20 at thetruthfits.com. All right. So last night, Daniel, Tulsi Gabbard went on Pam Bondi's Home Away from Home, Fox News, to say, hey, I showed all you guys all the evidence I have of where Russian collusion and everything came from, all the impeachment and everything came from. And now I'm here to announce on Pam Bondi's Home Away from Home that I'm dropping this hot potato in her lap. All right. So now we'll see if she's going to do her job or not. Where do you think this goes? Because I got to tell you, my X feed is full of cynical people, and I don't blame them at all. But even if the plan is just to, use this as a talking point, one of the buy, sell, or hold submissions we just had was, we're just going to use this for fundraising. I don't believe this would be a great fundraising thing without action. People are furious. They want some kind of action here. So my question that I asked Todd, I want to ask you. Did Tulsi Gabbard essentially just drop the hot potato in Pam Bondi's lap, or do you think there's actually a plan here? What do you think?
I don't think there's a plan here. I do. We've had this conversation, on and off the last couple of weeks, and you see as the weeks go by, the focus on it wanes and wanes, and there's always more stories. I mean, look, some of it is just technology. And sadly, just a couple minutes ago, there was a shooting at Fort Stewart in Georgia. 5 soldiers were injured. Thankfully, no one was killed. I mean, in the past, that alone would have been a big story. It won't even get anywhere. It's just everything is very quick. And I think there's just always something to focus on. There's always something to monetize. I think you see this story connected to this about JD meeting with these people in his home to strategize. I think this is a way of indicating, as I mentioned, on your show 2 weeks ago, the people that are upset about this or feign to be upset about it have planted their flag with JD. I think they recognize nothing is going to be done on these issues now. And I think they don't want to openly break with the administration. And I think the administration is going to offer a lot of fodder on a daily basis with other things. So you're like, there's got to be action. There will be action on many other issues, however durable it is. It doesn't have to be this issue because the news cycle changes. And then they're just biding time for JD, making sure that he is out of the area of impact from this, so that perhaps someone like a Pam Bondi, who was never slated to be, the next big leader in any circle, much less their circle anyway, sort of takes the fall for it, while their selected future leaders come off smelling like a rose. That I think is their goal.
How does Pam Bondi survive?
So that's a good question.
If there's no action on how walk me through a process. Let's forget about the future for a second. Well, the distant future that you just talked about. In the not too distant future. How does Pam Bondi survive, the director of national intelligence, going on every media outlet that will have her to unveil this evidence? The president out there tweeting out, posting about orange jumpsuits and arrests. How does her credibility is already in tatters. Let's just be honest. Yeah. Okay. It's already shattered. How does she survive here if she doesn't have
I don't think she does. And it might not be quite this story alone, but I think it's a slow bleed. Eventually, there's going to have to be a scapegoat, as there always is. And she's the most logical one. And I think that's really what Tulsi and JD and that whole crowd is setting her up for. They already don't like her. You have to realize Pam Bondi is more an artifact of the pre-Twitter dominating.
I mean, she's originally
politics.
a Romney type of Republican. You could just see in the ham-fisted way she handled.
They're actually similar in outcomes, but she hasn't gotten the memo of the culture, the
That's my point. I mean,
of what you need
clearly
to feed.
the way that she handled the binders, for example, earlier this year. That's like you're doing an impression of what you think the MAGA influencer world is. You don't really know that ecosystem. You don't know how it operates, and so you're kind of doing a knockoff version of it, and it just completely blew up in her face. That to me, that demonstrated this is a woman that does not know the native tongue. Okay, and is playing with forces she doesn't understand.
It's not just a matter of Epstein or the Russian hoax, but I travel in a lot of the conservative legal circles. I know a lot of people who work for DOJ. What's confounding people is it's not just a matter of sometimes they have ineffective people or whatever. DOJ is being populated, or they're retaining people from these law firms that are literally indistinguishable from the types that were in previous Republican administrations. It's a problem across the board. If you notice, they're not going strong on the Antifa people that are going after ICE. They're being very narrow on the charges that they're pursuing. I have on my desk right here a case of one of the Columbia Free Palestine people arrested for beating someone, and the FBI found $750,000 in this guy's home, and he swore to having no job and having $3,000 to his name. And he's traveled back and forth to Jordan, his family there, and there's a lot going on there. And they accepted a plea deal without spilling the beans. I mean, the J6ers had to swear off everything and just, divulge everything for a plea deal. The juxtaposition of January 6th treatment of those people to legitimate criminals and violent people, they're going very narrow on the charges. They're accepting plea deals for nothing. The personnel decisions are just confounding. There is no effort to discover who the pipe bomber was, or really to have any revenge against the people who perpetrated January 6th, much less fire them. I mean, some of them have been promoted. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is this is a broad systemic problem that she's almost incapable of even pretending and working the theater. So I don't see how she survives, more than a year.
Good to see you, my friend. Thank you.
See you later.
You bet. Gentlemen, any thoughts on what we just discussed with Daniel or on the show in general today?
If Pam Bondi spends a lot of her time thinking about what a lot of her predecessors have done, I mean, look at the White House press secretaries of the Democrat vintage, but Republicans are often the same. I want to make money and get a gig after this, then Daniel's going to be absolutely right. But if there's anything about her that feels what we felt when we went to the White House, real purpose, permission to go out and take scalps, if there's any part of that, or Steve, you're right. Like she hasn't
done the easy things, Todd, like reinstating the FBI whistleblowers.
Yeah, I know.
She hasn't even done the easy stuff.
I know. It's just absolutely crazy. She's being like, look at RFK Jr. Again. You're given permission to carve out your own statue if you want to. I have to believe here yet, at least for 1 year, that there's a part of her in here that sooner or later, even if it's like Donald Trump's going to say, you find that part of her, and you go get it. After a year, I'll be more pessimistic.
I think we just do well to remind ourselves over and over and over again, and twice on Sunday, that worldview is destiny. Now, people change over the course of their lifetimes. they can have new awakenings. And by golly, over the last 5 years since COVID, there are a lot of those people who have spiritual awakenings, for sure. But when Daniel talks about Pam Bondi coming out of an era that predates kind of the social media sphere, she comes out of an era of not knowing what time it is. Yep. That is fundamental to her worldview, at least until I'm shown something differently. And so when she lives on Fox News, or at least her secondary residence is on Fox News, you give people a lot of ammunition to start asking questions about your actual abilities or your actual motivations.
Also, take Hillary Clinton out to the woodshed all the way to the edge, and then let Trump pardon her. In the name, there's a win there too. Just do the thing.
You bet there is. All right, we're going to stick around, finish buy, sell, or hold in today's overtime for Blaze TV subscribers. For the rest of you, you get a special edition tomorrow, and then we're back live on Monday. Until then, Romans 8:28.